Hey race fans, Alex Weaver here. We're getting ready for Kentucky, but we also have a new schedule update to talk about. So I'm going to welcome in our championship winning crew chief, Cole Pearn. Cole, let's dive into Kentucky first because it's going to be a different time of the day that we're racing there. We also are going to see a lot of rubber on track because there is a handful of races before the Cup Series even takes to the track.
Yeah, Alex, I think the description is going to be hot, which is probably what everyone on the East Coast is saying these days with this heat wave. And Kentucky gets as hot as any place I can think of. So definitely running in the middle of the day, not running on Saturday night. Huge change. It almost makes the notes from last year somewhat irrelevant. And Kentucky still being a relatively new pave, running all those races leading up into it, it's going to season the track a lot more. I think should put on a lot better race. But, I think when we're always talking 550, we're always talking, how much drag do you run, how much downforce do you run. Now with it being a day race versus being a night race, you're going to see guys definitely have to opt more to the grip side, to the downforce side than you would for the drag. So definitely, I think, a lot different animal than what we had there last year.
You mentioned it being hot and slick and in the middle of the day, that 2:30 green flag. So as a crew chief, can you look to another track possibly that you can help prepare for Kentucky, or is it kind of a beast of its own?
Kentucky's really unique because, we all talk about the asymmetric corners and the fact that 3 and 4 is a lot flatter than 1 and 2. Well, now it's going to be in the hot, so 3 and 4 is going to be really low grip and super edgy. I think turn 3 into Kentucky is, one of the most kind of it feels off camber. It's not off camber, but, a flat, tricky entry that I think is unique to anywhere else. So, Kentucky notes are kind of Kentucky notes. So I think these guys definitely have a wild card going in there with no practice again and hopefully have to hit it right.
But it's hard to believe that we're saying this because I feel like we're inching, but at the same time, we're full speed ahead to the playoffs. There's only 10 races left, and Kentucky has been known as kind of the turning point to where you can kind of see what you have to make that playoff push. So right now for teams, is it give it all you got and just hope that you keep racking up those points, or do you go for wins and start trying to inch your way into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how teams will manage resources. Now with those double headers coming up, you got kind of what we just had at Pocono. You have opportunity man, if you can hit it really good on those weekends, you've got opportunity to score double points essentially. So I think a lot of teams are going to be, circling their calendars for those Michigan and Dover weekends to really put a focus on them because those could be the weekends that if they capitalize could put them in place for the playoffs or knock them out ultimately.
Well, you already mentioned that. We had a schedule update that was released this week from NASCAR, and 2 of those races is Dover and Michigan doubleheads, those Saturdays and Sunday shows. So crew chief, and for the crew guys, how difficult are doubleheader weekends?
I think everyone will have a long list from the Pocono one since it was the first one and been like, we could do this better, we could do that better. So I think everyone will be a lot more efficient, coming in those weekends. Dover will be a tricky one. Dover's typically really hard on race cars, high load track. Everything kind of gets beat up pretty good. So I think that'll be the biggest challenge for the teams is getting ready durability wise. The last 2 Dover races will be a big challenge.
We also have kind of 2 wild cards at Daytona. We're now going to run the Daytona road course, and then we're running the night race for the Daytona Oval, which is going to be the crack into the playoffs, the last regular season race. What are those going to be like? Because Daytona road course is no joke.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I go back and think of all the testing we did going to the Roval at Charlotte for the first time, and now you're going to just go into Daytona. So I think everybody, the one good thing is, a lot of the OEMs and manufacturers have that track scan. So simulator time will be, really useful because you got to figure out gearing, you got to figure out, how you're going to braking balance, corner loads, all of those things. And then NASCAR too, just trying to get the corner speeds, safe into turn 1. So it's not crazy fast will be a challenge. So a lot of things that are going to be really cool to watch, but a lot of things have to get figured out, on the rule side and on the team side to get ready to go there.
Yeah, we're in for a stacked rest of July and a stacked August as well in the NASCAR Cup Series and in all of NASCAR's National Series. A lot of racing coming up. Cole, thanks for breaking it down for us. Guys, make sure that you tune in to the Kentucky race for the NASCAR Cup Series this Sunday because the 10-race playoff push, you have to go through Sparta, Kentucky. That's coming up at 2:30 p.m. Sunday on FS1. Cole, I'll see you right back here next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. Have a good weekend.